You're listening to Turi Writer's She Said What podcast. I'm Turi, along with Marcy Persky. That axolotl lizard is getting a lot of attention at Marcy's house. Also, why don't some people ask, why don't some people? And how to traumatize your child with a pet. I see you're wearing some kind of prairie-style outfit today.
Kind of, I guess.
I'm looking at it.
I'm wearing a shirt and overalls.
That's prairie style. Little Laura Ingalls Wilder thing going on.
just a little.
You're going to whip out that butter churn that your mother left you? Is that the deal?
No, it still has an aquarium sitting on top of it.
Ah, you put the 40-gallon axolotl lizard is now balanced on your aquarium?
No. The
Uh-oh, wait a minute.
Trevor Noah the frog
Okay.
and Whale, the giant Pacoscamus, or however you say it, Pacoscamus, the giant dirt sucker, are still they're on top of the butter churn underneath the TV. And then Spatula, who's in the giant tank, who you've seen pictures of by now.
Yes, Spatula is
beautiful.
She's very pretty.
She's an axolotl for anyone who doesn't know.
And if you don't have the capacity to see imagery on our Instagram feed, you can look up an axolotl, and that will be pretty much interchangeable. I mean, I would imagine you couldn't pick Spatula out of a crowd of female axolotls.
Well, there's all different colors. She's called a Lucy for short. I can't pronounce the whole thing, but she's pink. And then they come in black. I have a friend who has a black one named Toothless. And they come in copper. There's albino ones. There's green ones.
Sounds like you're picking out a pair of shoes, not some kind of animal that's going to live in your living room for the next 150 years. How old do they get to be, these?
About 15, maybe.
Okay, well, that means you have to take good care of your health.
Yep.
And if you flee the country, you'll have to smuggle a lizard in your brassiere.
I don't know if she's a lizard. They stay in their juvenile phase forever. They're salamanders that never turn into salamanders.
I was going to say, they sound like some guys I dated back in the day.
Exactly. But she is on top of the dog cage that the dog pees in every time she goes in, so it's no longer a dog cage. Now the baby goes in if I forget to lock it.
Oh, God, what a mess.
But that's where she's on top of the former dog cage, right next to the couch.
Do you guys have any room to walk around in the living room now, or is it just like a hatchery in there?
No, it's not that big. The cage is is the exact same size as the top of the dog cage, or the dog kennel. And it's one of those fancy dog kennels that's supposed to look like a piece of furniture.
And now you're using it like a piece of furniture. So
exactly.
Okay, what I want to know is what made you decide I need to have an axolotl lizard? Wait, let me just write down my guess here. Just writing down what I think you're going to say. Go ahead.
If I could describe my whole life in 2 words,
yeah,
impulse buy.
See, I wrote down because they're cute.
Well, they are cute. I saw one that said I have to have one. So I started to research all about them. And I researched for like 3 months before I decided, yup. And now I'm in the heat of building the worm farm so that I can feed her for free for the rest of her life.
What I want to know, another thing I want to know.
Yeah.
Right. Yet another thing that I want to know about your decision. So you made an impulse decision that you had to have an axolotl lizard, and yet, or whatever they are, axolotl amphibious reptile, and
Mexican walking fish.
And you spent 3 weeks researching it.
3 months.
3 months. So at the end of 3 months, can you call that an impulse buy at that point?
Yeah, if I cement that impulse with my research.
Some kind of psychologist has to study you.
No, I prefer to remain an enigma.
You kept a lot of this process from me, I noticed. You didn't actually spill
No,
the bloodworms on this podcast until you'd already committed. Was
right.
that conscious on your part?
Yes, most definitely. And now I'm raising European night crawlers.
Well, what did you think I would say if right at the get-go you had said, I'm going to get an axolotl lizard in a 40-gallon aquarium, which can't live with my other fish in the 20-gallon aquarium, and they're all going to be balanced on top of a dog crate where the
Well,
dog
if I
pees.
was just going to blurt that out,
Yes,
I would call your spousal unit first
yes.
and say, will you stand on the steps outside of Terry's studio so you can pick her up from the floor when I break this news to her?
Okay.
But you and Frankie both, I kind of just eased you into it.
That was very well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
You did a good job there. I didn't even have a moment to object because you had already put a deposit down on the
Yep.
axolotl lizard. I hate to ask, and yet I have another question.
Okay.
How much would you say you've invested in the axolotl so far?
Um, Not a whole lot, really,
Uh-huh.
because a lot of the stuff I already had. And I got the tank for half price, which is good. I got a deal on her. I'm growing my own worms so that I don't have to buy food for her. I did have to buy like a filter. They don't need a heater because they live in cool water. So,
She's got a mighty lot of plantage in there. Plastic plant? Is that what those are?
yeah. I'm not putting real stuff can cause diseases, and plus I kind of have two black thumbs. Yeah. So
Yeah.
she has lots of plastic that she can't really tell the difference between if they're plastic.
I
And
wanted
she
to,
has a little bridge,
yeah.
and she has a flower
Does
pot.
she go over the bridge?
She sits on top of the bridge.
Really?
Yeah. And she floats in the little bubble machine thing.
What?
She floats on top of the bubbles. That's another thing axolotls do. I don't know if it tickles or what, but
I wouldn't mind floating on top of bubbles. Sounds fun. I could do that. Yeah. I'm glad to hear that you have all of this thought out because my day has been spent in a medical facility.
ugh.
Yeah. You know, I did something I've never done before. I
I'm
record.
not sure if I should ask.
No, it's not bad. Although it does involve needles. So maybe I shouldn't tell you, but I'm going to anyway. Because even though I know you're afraid of needles, I need you to know that I did a brave thing today.
Okay.
I told the phlebotomist very nicely to back the heck off my arm and find somebody else for me.
Oh, I've done that before.
If you let them, they'll just keep poking you everywhere when they may or may not have any competence in the area of doing this work at all. But here's a cool thing that I saw today. They have a machine and it has some sort of green light. And what I was struck by today at the medical facility where I had to go get tests and doctor's appointments, et cetera, I was struck by the lack of curiosity amongst all the technical staff. Just zero curiosity. It's like they might as well have been inspecting potato chips for brown spots for all the interest they had. Like the woman with the second phlebotomist wheels over this machine and it's so cool. It shines this green light in a little square on your arm. And with this light, you can see every vein, every capillary. Well, it just looks like really pretty art. It's just green and black imagery. You don't actually see blood. You just see this image of what's going on under your skin. It was super cool. How would I describe this? Do you remember as a kid, they had those ant farms?
Yep.
And if you didn't have one, it was like 2 pieces of plastic and a bunch of sand. And then you put in the ants came separately and they would build little ant tunnels, but you could see them all in your ant farm and made somebody very rich. I read a story about the marketer of the ant farm once. He got really wealthy. There was his Shark Tank thing. Or if you've ever taken your kids to the zoo or gone yourself and seen a working beehive where they have a wall of the beehive that's open and you can see the bees coming going, that's what it looked like with this machine. You just saw the green and then the black routes of your blood moving around. It was super duper cool. And I asked the woman, how does this work? And she said, it's a, whatever she called it, a vein machine. And I said, yeah, but what kind of light is this? And how does this work? She goes, it shows you your veins. And now I can see that. So that was number one, not curious person.
Okay.
She wasn't interested. I'm going to look it up as soon as we're done recording this podcast. But she was not interested. And then the other phlebotomist, when I asked if they had changed the needles because now they seem to have a bendy needle, she's like, I don't know, maybe. She didn't care. And then I'm getting my MRI and I say to the technician, I read about the guy who invented these. It was really interesting. And he says, oh yeah? He doesn't say like who invented it or I read that or it's really cool. Just like not I cannot think of a bunch of people who seemed less interested in what they did or how they did it. If I were them, I'd be embarrassed. I want to know how the stuff that I use works. I pester the engineers. The only thing I don't want to know how it works is the computer. Let somebody else figure that out.
I have no desire to know
I
how
don't
this
want to know
computer
how that
works. As long as it works,
right?
It's magic.
But all the other stuff, the microphone, the mixing board, I want to know how that works. And when you listen to this podcast, you're probably thinking, yeah, there's some stuff that I use for my work, and I like to know how it works. Of course you do. If you want to know what group of people I have the least interest in whom I have the least interest, it's people who are not interested in the world. Maybe they're interested in something else. But if you spent all day using a magic tool that showed the blood beneath your arm moving around like some kind of art project, wouldn't you want to know at least what kind of light it was?
I would.
Yeah.
And then I would go and get one.
Yeah.
One at home.
Like to put with your axolotl.
Yeah, to look at what's going on inside her.
It's super
Actually, she's
cool.
kind of transparent.
She is. You can see. It makes you like an axolotl.
Yeah, okay.
Super cool. Speaking of, you can get them in pink, you can get them in blue, you can get them in whatever, green, copper, black. I distinctly remember a great horror and disappointment in my youth. We had a tropical fish tank, not a saltwater fish tank. Mm-hmm. And if you ever read my book, you can read about the Dead Guppy Project, but that's another story. There was a kind of fish that was there were several kinds of fish that were sort of transparent. You could see different parts of their bodies beneath their skin. And some were neon. They had a bright fluorescent color. And there was this one fish that was sort of transparent, and you could get it with a neon orange stripe or a neon powder blue stripe, but it wasn't like the neon fish. And I was so upset and disappointed to find out that at the breeder, they simply injected them with some kind of dye so that you could pick out a green one or an orange one or a blue one. And I was pretty upset. And I believe it was around that time that I just gave up on the whole tropical fish tank. It may have been also that I had traumatized my kids by buying a fish that looked really pretty, but that was actually very vicious and destroyed most of the other fish in the tank, and the kids were freaking out. Sometimes you do that, like you get your kid a pet thinking, oh, this will be great. And then they come and get you and go, Mom, the angelfish is eating all the other fish in the tank.
That's what, when my youngest child decided she was going to breed geckos.
Really?
Yeah. And she was a kid at the time.
Yeah.
So she had a female gecko for a couple of years, and then she got a male gecko. And the next morning, you hear her screaming. The female gecko had the male gecko sticking out of her mouth.
Ooh.
She sucked him in.
The whole gecko? Which part was
Yes.
sticking out, the tail or the head?
His face.
Ah!
So the
A
female
metaphor.
gecko had two faces.
A metaphor for life.
metaphor for marriage, maybe sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that was our big breeding
Yeah.
experiment.
As in your terrarium, so in life.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the Tory Writers She Said What podcast. Assuming you like what you heard, you might want to leave us a good review and maybe pick up my book, She Said What? A Life on the Air, which you can get from your independent bookseller or that giant website that sells absolutely everything.